that is exactly what has happened this weekend. Trump goes into Iran really heavy, really hard, anticipating that maybe the fighting would last weeks at most, and not many weeks. That the fighting might last a week, maybe a few weeks. And it seems that the plan was something like this. After we pound Iran's ballistic missiles, Navy, missile production facilities, after we decapitate the leadership, I think the gamble, the bet, is that a pragmatic faction within the government would somehow emerge and initiate peace negotiations with the United States. Very similar to what happened in Venezuela. We know that because Trump said that is the best outcome, is the Venezuela model. That we go in, hit them hard, decapitate the leadership, and somebody from lower in the chain of command will come to their senses and they will just accede to all of America's demands. Trump said that's the Venezuela model, that's the ideal situation, that's the preference. Here's the problem. What happens if that doesn't happen? So we've done airstrikes on 1,700 different targets within Iran. We're talking thousands of airstrikes. So much action happening in the Middle East. We're bombing regime targets, military, the Revolutionary Guard, the civilian government, the oil fields. We're hitting everything. Now, what happens if, after days of this, weeks of this, nobody surrenders? Well, then you really have a problem here. Because we can't fight forever. We can't fight in perpetuity. Arguably, we can't actually destroy all of their capabilities. We can't destroy all their missiles and missile production and missile launch platforms. So what happens in a few weeks when we actually run out of interceptors, when the war drags on too long for us, when it becomes very costly, when the global price of oil is sustained at a very high level, and Iran is still bombarding the Gulf countries and Israel and U.S. bases with short-range missiles? What do you do then? How do you achieve your regime change? You can't just go home without achieving these strategic objectives. You're not going to go home and let Iran rebuild. So what are you supposed to do? That's really the question, and that's what we're facing here. That's where the uncertainty comes in. If Trump's plan doesn't come to fruition, then there are only bad options. And it's looking like the bad options are these. One, the Iranian regime survives, and they're able to reconstitute, and this just becomes an ongoing problem. And I think that's unlikely. Two, it's U.S. boots on the ground. How do we destroy the missile launch platforms? How do we go in and secure even the nuclear material? It's U.S. forces. How many? In what way? Remains to be seen. Third option is you get some kind of regional tribal force, like the Kurds. And this has been floated today. According to Axios, the Trump administration spoke with two Iraqi Kurdish groups in northern Iraq just a week before the operation began, expecting that the Kurds might cross over the border into Iran and be the ground force for the U.S.-Israeli Air Force. And they might fight. But there's not enough of them. Not enough of them. There's not enough of them to take over the whole country. Maybe if you're lucky, they're going to secure Iranian Kurdistan, but that's a small part of the country. So what do? No good options here. So we'll talk about it. We're going to get into the details about the actual course of the war, the actual fighting. It's going to be a good show. Before we get into it, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Remember to check out our merch store at Fuentes.store. Get your hats. Get your America First hats. Hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, all that kind of stuff. It's all on the website. If you want to support the show, subscribe at AmericaFirst.plus. We have our new and improved website. It's the archive of every show I've ever done. Everything going back like 10 years. It's my show at Right Side Broadcasting, my show in high school, every speech, debate, commentary stream. It's all there. MP3 downloads, RSS feed for just $15 a month. AmericaFirst.plus. $100 a month, you get to be in the group chat with me and hang out. And we're working out some of the bugs. And by bugs in the group chat, I mean people that are really annoying. Sometimes it's it's just a little bit too much, Sometimes it's just a little bit too much to take in the $100 a month club group chat. Example, I'll tell you a funny interaction. It's really not that funny, it's just irritating. This guy comes in the group chat, and so the largest U.S. base in the Middle East is called Al Udeid. It's in Qatar. I say it Al Udeid. This guy comes in today and he goes, actually, I served there and it's called Al Udeid. And I said, no, that's wrong. That's not how it's pronounced. And he comes back and goes, oh, actually, I Googled it and you're right. You're pronouncing it the way it's pronounced in Arabic. So technically, I think you're right. But, these are like the kinds of interactions. It's just like some of them are totally unexplainable. Some of them are just like that. You tag me to correct me, and you're wrong. You tag me to correct my pronunciation, and you don't even know what you're talking about. You were there, and you don't even know. And I look at that, and I'm just shaking my damn head. I'm like, how many more years do I have to suffer these goyim? But that's okay. America First, Plus, check it out. We're going to get into the show. Before we do, if you missed it, I appeared on Alex Jones this afternoon. We had a very emotional show. This is a very emotional time. We had a very emotional show. I love Alex. I went on there at about 1 o'clock, and we got into this Iran war, and it was it's very serious. And look, people like him and we have been pushed to the limit. We have been a part of this struggle, and it has killed us. I mean, it is literally, figuratively, hopefully not literally, it has killed us. And I don't think people realize that. I don't think people realize how much the two of us have sacrificed, and in some ways him more than me. But it is absolutely destructive. And by that I mean, we're engaged in this political struggle with powerful the United States, and in our quest to tell the truth and to fight the good fight, they just financial, digital, social, professional, you name it. I mean, they are really grinding us to dust. And we've been fighting this fight for a long time. And so for us, you got to understand it's a little bit different than all of you that were red-pilled after the pandemic, or people that have been working jobs and living normal lives. It's a little bit different. For him and I, we gave our lives to this, we sacrificed so much, and now to see Donald Trump, he's the one that's going to deliver us into a war with Iran. That's why I keep saying it's just surreal. And not in a good way, in a deeply disturbing, unsettling way. And you try to keep it positive and you try to keep the energy up, but it's heartbreaking. It's very sad that this is happening, and it's scary. I get why people are anxious. It seems that the world is destabilizing and coming apart. In these good old days that we've been living in for most of recent memory, it seems like that's all coming to an end, domestically, internationally, and you just wonder what that portends for the future. So, we had the show, and I could tell he was a little worked up about it, because I've been very critical of Trump. I'd like to think I've been very sober about all of it, and hypercritical. And obviously, I think that Alex was a lot more pro-Trump. I think that, I don't know what you want to call that, if that's optimism or maybe just a different perspective, but he really believed in Trump and really believed that in 2024, Trump was going to deliver the victory in all this. And I could tell Trump is losing him. Trump is losing Alex Jones. He's losing everybody. And I see it in my replies. I've been posting about this on Twitter, not as much as I should, I guess. But in all my replies, it's all people saying, I voted for Trump 3 times. I voted for Trump twice, 3 times. I'm a Christian. I'm a conservative. I'm not ever voting again for a Republican. And I get it. I get it. I'm telling people to do that. At what point do you say, enough is enough? And it's, honestly, you almost wonder if it's even possible to change anything. It gets to a point where you look at everything that has happened. I guess that's the worst part. Everything that has happened for 10 years, all the battles, all censorship, the cancellation, the professional, social, personal cost of all of it. And in the end, we're in a war with Iran. You know, you look at like, okay, so we mainstreamed anti-Semitism and woke is dead and the discourse has changed and the people have woken up, and you look around and people are talking about astral projecting and aliens. We're in a war with Iran regardless. Doesn't matter how unpopular these people get, nothing ever changes. So 28 seems to be like the last dance. I'm gonna be honest. If we don't get it in 28, I'm just gonna go in exile. Like seriously, if we don't get it in 28, you are gonna see me in Vietnam somewhere. The young apprentice, the chosen one, will find me in the jungles of Vietnam. I've told this story before. I'll be there running a coffee shop. I'll be there running my donut shop. Sort of ironic, right? The Vietnamese came to America. They opened all the donut shops. I'm going to go to Vietnam and open one. And I'll just go and live another life. And one day in the future, Luke Skywalker, you know, the next chosen one is going to come and find me. And they're going to say, tell me about the Groyper Wars. They're going to say, Groyper leader, tell me about the Groyper Wars. I'm looking for a great warrior. Do wars make one great? And I think that's, honestly, I think that's it. We're either going to get our guy in 28. We're either going to get our Caesar Augustus. He's either going to take us all the way to the promised land and we're going to win or start winning. Or I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm out. Like, forget about the Trump movement. I'm like going out of America.
Oh, come on.
We had our fun. We liked Chicago and everything. But listen, there's just too much diversity here. Way too much diversity. Way too much crime. I don't want to get killed by a fucking tranny. You know, at a certain point, it just becomes, like, not worth it. Every day you're rolling the dice. Am I going to get blasted by a black person in a Nissan Altima driving on the shoulder? Or you just drive into a neighborhood where you're the only white person? Being me, you walk outside the house, some transsexual shows up with a 3D printed gun and eliminates you, you know? So I'll just go to Mexico. I'm returning to tradition. You'll find me in the barrio. What is the bar? What is that, by the way? I don't know. You'll find me in Mexico. And I'll be having it, you know, my dollar will go a little further. I'll be living in a brutalist mansion. They have them down there. I've looked.
Fuck yeah.
Or Vietnam.
Fuck yeah.
And that'll be the end of that. But we're going to try one last time in 28. Anyway, I digress. I'm just joking a little bit. We'll play it by ear. I'm definitely going to have a backup plan, though.
Don't get killed by a tranny, bro.
What happens on election night? If it doesn't go our way, I'm on the first flight to Ho Chi Minh City, okay? And maybe you'll join me. And maybe you'll join me. No, I'm kidding. You're not invited. But anyway, so that's that. I do want to move on. I want to get into the show. We have to laugh because if we don't laugh, we would just, like, I don't know, kill ourselves.
Yeah.
It would make Heaven's Gate look like a fucking joke. It would make Jonestown look like a comedy. I mean, seriously. War with Iran. Thank you. Golden Age. It's almost not even funny, but
no.
We're going to dive in. We're going to get into our coverage of the war. Like I said last night, we talked all about the build-up to the war. We talked about the decision-making and everything. Tonight, I actually want to focus on the actual course of the war, how the war is being fought. And as you know, this is an air and naval campaign so far. This is what the fighting looks like. The U.S. and Israel are deployed with their naval and air assets, and they are launching airstrikes over Iran. They are dropping tons of bombs, and they are hitting everything. They are bombing the missile launch platforms, missile production facilities. They are bombing Iran's navy. They're bombing the regime, the actual leadership of the government and of the military. Iran is retaliating. And how are they retaliating? Well, they have basically no other capability other than the missiles. They do not have a modern enough air force. They do not have an anti-aircraft system at all. Now they don't have a navy. They basically are incapable of doing anything other than launching short and medium-range ballistic missiles, which are interceptable, but if they launch them in a large enough volume and across a broad enough swath of territory, eventually they're counting on the United States to not be able to intercept them. So the U.S. and Israel are hitting Iran. They say they've hit 1,700 targets. It's regime targets, military targets. It's all their assets. Iran retaliates with short-range, medium-range ballistic missiles against the following targets. They're going after U.S. bases in all of the Persian Gulf countries. So that is the United Arab Emirates. That's Bahrain. It's Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. They're hitting the U.S. bases in Erbil, which is Iraqi Kurdistan. They're hitting U.S. bases in Jordan. They're also striking the country of Israel, hitting military targets, government targets there. And they're also hitting civilian targets in the Gulf countries as well. So in addition to the U.S. bases in those countries, they're also actually hitting residential infrastructure, hotels, the civilian airport. Now again, the United States, Israel, and the Gulf countries are able to intercept most of these missiles. So Iran has fired, I think in the first 24 hours, they fired 300 missiles. Not a lot. And mostly these are being intercepted by U.S.-provided weapon systems. So we've put in place these Patriot missile batteries and THAAD batteries, as well as ballistic missile interceptors on the destroyers that are shooting down all the incoming missiles. The goal for Iran is to overwhelm these air defenses, either with large volleys of missiles in a single area or over a sustained period of time. If they can maintain the ability to launch the missiles, they're counting on the United States, Israel, and the Gulf to run out of interceptors, so they won't be able to shoot them down. And that has been the course of the war. Now, it is important to talk about what the actual strategic objectives are here, and to be very precise and specific. We talked about this in the build-up to the war, and it's equally, maybe arguably more important now. What Trump laid out on Friday is that this is a regime change war. So the strategic objective of the United States in the conflict, among others, is they are seeking a regime change. That is what they said. In addition to that, Trump said that they are seeking, the U.S. is seeking, to destroy Iran's navy and its ballistic missile capability. So that means, obviously, sinking all their ships, and also not just destroying the platforms that launch the missiles, but also the facilities where the missiles are produced.
No problem.
This is where it gets a little bit tricky, because Iran's missile production facilities and their launch platforms are fortified underground. So just like the complications with the nuclear program and the nuclear complex, these sites at Fordo and Natanz, where the centrifuges are buried under mountains and buried under the ground, it's the same story with the missiles. They have basically built entire cities fortified underneath the ground. And just look at a topographical map of Iran. It's all mountains. They build these cities underneath the ground, underneath thousands of feet of earth. And this makes it very difficult to destroy these completely, and then to verify that the production facilities have been destroyed. And so even though Israel claims that these joint operations have destroyed half of Iran's ballistic missile launch platforms, it's an open-ended question whether we will be able to destroy all of them. And that raises some serious questions. But before we get into the missile aspect of the equation, because let's just say succinctly, for the sake of argument right now, the two strategic objectives here are regime change and destroying the missile launch capability. We'll talk about regime change first. This is maybe the most controversial operative word in this entire conflict, and maybe in the second Trump administration. Because historically, what a regime change means is that you kill the leader and you replace them with a different leader, and that new leader brings all his people in, and you just get a new country, and you realign the country. So like in Iraq, we invaded, we put Saddam Hussein on trial, we executed him, we put all of his lieutenants on trial, we killed them, we killed all the remnant of the Ba'athist force, and others of them were integrated or re-educated. And now they have a democratic regime as opposed to a Ba'athist regime. And the same thing happened in Syria. We backed proxies in Syria. We dropped tons of ordnance. We overthrew the Ba'athist Assad regime. And in its place is now a Sunni theocracy, effectively. We actually don't know the character of the new regime, but this new character, Ahmed al-Shara, formerly known as al-Julani, he is now in charge. He is a Sunni Muslim. It appears that he is reorienting Syria away from the fascist, pan-Arab socialist ideology of Baathism and towards something like, I'm not even quite sure what he's going for. They're maintaining a liberal structure, a relatively liberal structure, but it is going to be a Muslim religious regime. All that being said, it's a completely new governing ideology, it's a new leader, and it's a new security apparatus. That is historically what regime change means in the Middle East. But with Trump, it's a little bit different. Because like we talked about with Venezuela, when Trump went into Venezuela in January, he did not actually have a real regime change. It appears that way, and it seems that way. Trump kidnapped Nicolas Maduro, who is the head of state and head of government, the president of Venezuela. And so people would say that appears to be a regime change operation because the head of state has been removed from power. However, you could argue this is more of like a hybrid approach. Even though Nicolas Maduro is no longer there, his vice president succeeded him and became president. Everybody else remained. It's the same cabinet, it's the same government, same defense minister, same intelligence minister, same interior minister, the vice president is now the president, same army, same intelligence operation, same security apparatus. And they still ostensibly are a socialist Chavista regime. So is it safe to say that that's regime change? Not quite. It's more like a decapitation strike. And it's using decapitation as a menu item, as a tool, maybe call it smart power, for persuasion. In other words, rather than go to war against Venezuela in a conventional sense, to destroy their military and put everybody on trial and find new leaders and create a democracy, instead we are picking off individuals in the government with these very surgical operations, I guess it's just the one, in the hopes that the successor will be more compliant to Washington. And so this is seen as a cost-effective, low-intensity way to reorient the posture of a hostile or revisionist country like Venezuela. And I think that in Iran, that is the same approach. So Trump laid out the case on Friday for a regime change. He said this is a terrorist regime. They've been fighting us for years. They've killed Americans in Iraq and in Beirut and elsewhere. He said, so we're going to destroy their military. We want them to surrender. And then we want the people to rise up. Now, this is a little bit confusing because that would seem to indicate that he is talking about a full-fledged regime change, because if he's degrading Iran's armed forces so that an uprising can occur, well, that would tend to imply that there will be a new regime, that the people of Iran are going to take power and they're going to create some kind of popular government, like a democracy or a liberal regime, but it will not be the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. It will not be the Islamic Revolutionary Regime. It will be something else. So that's the message we got on Friday, and that's what it sounded like, was full-fledged regime change. We're going to take care of their big guns, the cannons, the Navy, the missiles, and once we're done, then the people can rise up and they can create a free and independent and liberal regime. It seems, though, that Trump has been walking that back. And now they're talking about a different kind of regime change where Trump is talking about there may be candidates from within the existing government that will succeed the government that has been destroyed. So after the Ayatollah was assassinated in the initial strikes on Saturday, a council has been convened to operate the government and try to maintain some continuity. And today they elected a new supreme leader, and they're trying to keep everything together. Trump says that every candidate he had in mind to lead the country has been killed. He says, and we're almost done killing all the leadership. There have been some reports that Trump's plan all along was to decapitate enough of the leadership, destroy enough of the military, that eventually an element from within the regime would somehow take power and then negotiate with the United States. Seeing that the military is destroyed, seeing that Iran is totally defenseless, and recognizing that they face certain death, Trump is anticipating that a pragmatic element is going to seize power and they will initiate negotiations and give the United States what they want. Now, to me, that sounds like what happened in Venezuela. That sounds like if that is coming from inside the regime, then it's not a real regime change. If you were talking about an uprising of the people, that is a whole different undertaking. And we aren't there. There's a lot of opposition to the regime in Iran, but they're not cohesive. And they're not armed or trained, and they're not organized. So there is no alternative force. When he says you're going to rise up and take the country back, that's not going to happen. For that to happen, it will not happen spontaneously. That is something that would require careful protecting and money and arms and training and all sorts of things. They would need some legitimacy from the people. It isn't there. So when Trump says now, well, maybe we're waiting on somebody from inside the regime to take the reins and let common sense prevail, that sounds like what happened in Venezuela, which is that the regime will be intact at the end of this. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard will be intact. The Iranian Armed Forces will be intact. The Constitution, legislature, the structure, maybe even that they have a supreme leader, all of that will be intact. That's maybe the big idea. But like I said yesterday at the top of the show, this is a pure gamble. We don't know that that will happen. People say, is that going to happen? What are the odds it's going to happen? Frankly, nobody knows. Nobody has any idea because it is pure chaos. When you destroy the command, control, and communication of a country, you assassinate the supreme leader, you assassinate all their top military and civilian brass. What does the day after look like? Well, that actually depends upon the people that survive. And what do they decide to do? You don't really know. You're kind of gambling that they are going to see the light, so to speak. Now, here's why that seems to be unlikely. Here's why that's maybe a bad bet. Unlike Venezuela, Iran is a theocracy. It's built on a religion of martyrs. The Shiite Muslims, it's literally a religion of martyrs, and they have a theocratic religious government. So you have a regime, it's not just a huge regime of hundreds of thousands of loyalists that have been vetted, that have been tested, but it's also religious zealots. And the religious zealots their religion is based on dying for God. So this infrastructure, this security apparatus made up of jihadists, of people that are willing to die for their religion, for their theocracy, for their leader, they just witnessed the United States and Israel lie to them, kill their leader, kill their colleagues, their friends, maybe their families. And the expectation is that this is going to make them more compliant. It would seem to be the case that it's more likely they will be emboldened and actually get a more hardline faction. Because what is the logic? The remnant, the survivors are going to say, see, you can't trust the United States. They tricked us. They killed us. This was inevitable. If anything, you're going to get hardliners in place. And Trump has basically admitted this. And we'll get into this in a moment, what the outcome is in that case. But Trump admitted this today. He said in the Oval Office, we actually might get a more hardline regime. He said that is going to be the worst case scenario. So that's the regime change angle. You're either going to get a regime change, a true regime change, and that is going to entail some kind of ground force. That's going to entail, you're talking about a popular uprising, which is there. It's going to be some kind of sectarian group or ethnic group, a separatist group, something like that, that again will need to be armed and organized. Or you're looking at a decapitation strike that eventually results in compliance. And I think at this point that is very far-fetched. Now, the other strategic objective is destroying the ballistic missile capability. So not only do we seek the termination of the Iranian regime, but also we want to destroy all the missiles. Why is that? The missiles are the only military capability that allow Iran to hit any strategic assets among our allies. They are going to have no air force, no navy, no nothing. The proxy network is in shambles. All they have are these missiles, and that is what they can use to hit Saudi Arabia. That is what they can use to hit ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and they can hit airports and tourist destinations in the Gulf countries, and of course, U.S. bases and Israel. So a big part of the push to war was about disarming Iran and making it so that they're not able to do this. Well, once again, many complications, because you can't actually bomb all their ballistic missiles. We don't know where they are, all of them. Many of them are highly mobile. This is the same problem we faced in Yemen. Last year in 2025, we launched a month-long war against the Houthi rebels in Yemen, and we had a carrier strike group off the coast, and we launched tons of airstrikes, and we hit them really hard. Same story, and we had literally no ability to prevent them from launching missiles. No effect. Think about that. In 1 month, we dropped more ordnance on the Houthis in Yemen than Joe Biden did in a year and a half. And it had no effect. And you might have heard about a year ago, aircraft carriers had to swerve to avoid being hit by missiles so sharply that planes were falling off the deck of the carrier. And we had, at the very end, to say, we surrender. Trump got up and said, I respect the Houthis. This isn't working. We're out. And to this day, the Houthis maintain the ability to launch the missiles. And the reason being is because the missile launch platforms are mobile. They're mobile. They're hard to detect with surveillance. And you have to destroy all of them. If Iran has any ability to launch ballistic missiles, and they have a lot of them, according to U.S. assessments from the Defense Intelligence Agency, they have the widest, biggest, most diverse missile arsenal in the Middle East. If you're going to do it, you got to destroy all of them. What happens if you don't? Well, again, the state of the play is that we are bombing them. We are trying to simply drop enough bombs that they submit. It's a very blunt tool, very blunt weapon. Iran is retaliating with missiles. Now, the equation that everybody is talking about with regard to the missiles is that Iran's ballistic missiles are much cheaper than the interceptor missiles that we use to shoot them down. And we need multiple interceptors per missile. And the interceptors do not have a 100% interception rate. We also produce them much more slowly, and these are spread out across the entire world. So think about all these variables here. Iran has tons of cheap supplies, cheap missiles. They're very inexpensive to make, and they're blasting them off. And we really have no ability to prevent them from launching all their missiles. And these missiles are raining down every day against a wide array of targets across the entire region. Hezbollah is launching them against Cyprus in the Eastern Med. Iran is launching them against Israel, but also against Jordan and northern Iraq and Riyadh and Bahrain and the Emirates and Qatar and Oman. The whole region is being hit with missiles, and the ships in the Persian Gulf are being hit with missiles. Now, if you are trying to intercept these missiles, you can only deploy a finite number of systems to protect a finite number of targets. The detection, early warning, and interception, it's a smaller radius. So you have to deploy systems in all these different places. You can't leave Saudi Arabia out to dry, because what happens if missiles start hitting the eastern province oil fields? You got a big problem. You can't leave the Emirates hanging out to dry, because what happens if they destroy Dubai? You can't leave Israel hanging out to dry, and this is not even talking about the cargo ships in the Persian Gulf or the U.S. military personnel and facilities. So we're spread very thin. We're spread thin in the Middle East. We also have these systems in Asia in preparation for China's invasion of Taiwan. We have them in Europe to shoot down Russian drones, missiles, projectiles. So we're spread very thin. And even the resources we have We can't replenish them easily. So we're using years worth of interceptor supplies in a matter of days. You're not going to see as many built for another 5-10 years. Then you have to factor in the cost. Iran is making them not just more quickly, and they don't just have more of them, and they're only using them in one theater of conflict, but also they're much cheaper. They're far cheaper. And you only need one to get through. Interceptors, you need to launch 2 or 3. You need to launch multiple per missile. Not all of the missiles are going to be shot down. And so if the interception rate is 86%, as it was in the war last year, that's a significant number of missiles that might be getting through. And if the war drags on for weeks or months, it becomes a war of attrition. Who is going to run out first? Are we going to run out of our very finite, very limited stockpile, very expensive interceptors, which are not always effective? Or is Iran going to run out of their very cheap missiles and drones, which they have underground factories to churn these out by the hundreds every month? The answer is very obvious. And what that tells us about the conflict is that it is in our interest for this to be fast. That is the insight that you have to derive from this. If that is the calculus, we cannot tolerate the Gulf and our bases in Israel being hit with missiles for weeks and months, because we can't shoot them all down, and if we can't shoot them all down, it is ruinous. There's no tourism, there's no commerce, people are fleeing, it's very destabilizing. So this cannot be a long war for us, it has to be short. And this gives you some insight into Trump's thinking here. You have to imagine that Trump was thinking that he was going to hit Iran so hard, kill all their leadership, and even if we couldn't destroy all of their missiles, we could get someone in the government to make a deal. And it really seems like that was the play, once you understand that this had to be a quick war. It cannot be a long war. And it would require a very long and pitched battle to topple the regime. So this tells you what Trump was thinking. Well, it looked very one-sided in the opening stages of the conflict when we were just having our way in Iran's airspace, dropping all these bombs. But now that the Iranians are not surrendering, and now that they're still maintaining the ability to launch missiles into the Persian Gulf and elsewhere, now you got to wonder, well, what is the off-ramp here? What's the exit plan? If the gamble was, we're going to hit them really hard and we're going to hope that someone is going to take the reins, well, again, what happens if they don't? Now we're kind of screwed because we're running out of this supplies. And it's a race against the clock. Either we destroy the missile launch platforms and it's a non-issue, or we don't, and then we're in a real pickle here. So what was plan B? If plan A was we're going to hit them really hard, and then, well, plan B is quite obvious. It's ground forces. How do you destroy the missile launch platforms? How do you disable Iran's capabilities? You have to send in a ground force. That's the only thing that'll do it. And if you have air power, if you take out their airplanes, if you have air superiority, if you take out some of their major assets, then maybe it becomes possible to deploy a small force inside the country, who knows, to secure the nuclear sites, to secure the ballistic missile sites. And this is Trump. Trump said yesterday that he's not ruling out boots on the ground. This is the story from the Times. It says, quote, President Trump told the New York Post on Monday that he is not ruling out sending ground troops into Iran if it was necessary, adding that Operation Epic Fury was way ahead of schedule after taking out dozens of Tehran's top officials. He said, quote, I don't have the yips with respect to boots on the ground like every other president. There will be no boots on the ground. I don't say it, Trump said. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said at a Monday morning Pentagon press conference that no American troops are currently inside Iran, though he also did not rule out the possibility. He said, President Trump ensures our enemies understand we'll go as far as we need to advance American interests. But we're not dumb about it. You don't have to roll 200,000 people in there and stay for 20 years. Trump told the Daily Mail on Sunday he estimated the war would last 4 weeks, but hinted that the time frame could be shortened. He said it's going to go pretty quickly. We're right on schedule, way ahead of schedule in terms of leadership, 49 killed, and that was going to go for 4 weeks. We did it in 1 day. So they're saying it out loud. They're saying, if we can't get Iran to capitulate, we'll send in a ground force. Trump says, I'm not ruling that out in principle. And Hegseth says, we may not invade like we did in Iraq. Maybe we'll do a smaller force, maybe special forces. But Hegseth, too, says we're not going to rule it out either. That seems to be the only possible alternative. If you're not able to drop bombs enough to get them into submission and they're going to hand over their missiles and their nuclear program and make peace with Israel, someone's going to have to go in and kill them. Someone, some force on the ground with guns is going to have to go in and do this intense fighting to actually raid these facilities, raid this. And here's the problem. This is a country 3 times the size of Iraq. So we had an invasion force of 200,000 invade Iraq in 2003. And that country is 1/3 the size. And not only that, Iran is all mountains. All mountains and desert. So it's a mountainous country, 3 times bigger than Iraq. Population 3 times bigger. And they're telling us we're going to need a force that is smaller. It's going to be less complicated. It'll take less time. How does that even make sense? You deploy American troops. What exactly is the plan here? Okay, we dropped all these bombs. Newsflash, they're still standing. There's still 200,000 Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and they're not giving up. Okay, what do you do now? Well, we're going to send in a ground force. We're not ruling that out. And what are they going to do? Seriously, how are you going to go in there, short of 500,000 soldiers, how are you going to go in and invade? And where and when? And what does that even look like? And by the way, what happens then when Americans start dying? So Americans land on the ground, and all of a sudden they're getting shot with shoulder-launched rockets, and they're getting blown up with IEDs. And Iran is going to change their tactics into a defense of the homeland. Repel the invader. There's going to be no collaborators on the ground. They're going to want the Americans out. So now the country is disintegrating. Okay? The people are not able to get food and water and critical infrastructure. Everybody's trying to flee. You probably have a refugee crisis coming imminently. With the IRGC being decapitated over and over again, law and order breaks down. Then you've got Americans in there. What is happening in this country? Well, it's going to completely destabilize. It's going to totally come apart. Is there a civil war between different factions? Maybe you have an IRGC remnant, and then you have U.S. loyal opposition, and then you have Kurds, and what does that look like? And then again, what exactly have we gotten ourselves into? Are we now going to have thousands of Americans dying, trying to put Iran back together in a civil war, trying to rebuild some semblance of law and order? What exactly are we on the hook here for? Now, that is the other alternative, and it has been mentioned, is that we might use an already on-the-ground force to be our ground force in Iran, like, for example, the Kurds, which are Iran's largest ethnic minority. It's about 10 to 15% of the population, concentrated in the northwest part of the country. And this is a story about that. Apparently, Trump and Netanyahu had spoken to the Kurds a week before the war started. And specifically, they talked about the Kurds being an invasion force, that the Iraqi Kurds in northern Iraq, armed and supported with U.S. air power, would cross the border with Iran, and they would be our invasion force. This is from Axios. It says, quote, President Trump spoke by phone with Kurdish leaders in Iraq on Sunday to discuss the U.S.-Israel war with Iran and what might come next. Trump spoke to leaders from the 2 main Kurdish factions in Iraq a day after the Saturday bombing campaign began. The calls were the culmination of months of behind-the-scenes lobbying by Prime Minister Netanyahu. Israel has had close security, military, and intelligence ties with the Kurds in Syria, Iraq, and Iran for decades. It is the general view, and certainly Netanyahu's view, that the Kurds will come out of the woodwork. They're going to rise up, said one of the officials. 6 days before the war began, 5 dissident Kurdish groups sheltering in Iraq announced the formation of the Coalition of Political Forces of Iranian Kurdistan to fight Iran. Well, U.S. policymakers believe Netanyahu might have overestimated the number of Kurds who might take up arms against Iran. It's not nothing, they said. Well, that's good to know. It's not nothing. That's what you want to hear. Before you invade a country of 90 million people with 200,000 Iranian Revolutionary Guard, what you want to hear is, hey, well, we don't have absolutely nothing at all. It's something. Oh, okay, that's reassuring. And this was always the plan. The plan, because this is what has happened in Iraq. The Kurdish third of Iraq is effectively autonomous. There was sort of a brief civil war about 10 years ago between the government in Baghdad and the Kurds. Iraq is effectively controlled by Iran because part of Iraq's security architecture includes a militia army called the Popular Mobilization Forces, and most of them are Shiite Muslims loyal to Iran. And they have launched bombs at Israel, and they have criticized the United States, and they operate in every governorate in Iraq except for in Iraqi Kurdistan in the north. And the Iraqi Kurds had fought for independence, fought for a semi-autonomous government system, and this is where American soldiers retreated to. When the Iranian missiles started flying, we took our troops out of Baghdad and we put them in Erbil. We put them in Iraqi Kurdistan. Now, the Kurds are huge allies of Israel because they are a destabilizing force. They are the largest ethnic group in the world without a country. They have large numbers in southeastern Turkey, northeastern Syria, northern Iraq, and northwestern Iran. And there are a lot of them. And what the Israelis and to some extent the Americans do is they use the Kurds against these governments. Diversity becomes our secret weapon. Who do we go for? People that are dissatisfied with the government, that oppose it, that are going to take up arms against the regime? It is the disenfranchised, disaffected ethnic minority, the Kurds. And so we use the Kurds in Syria, and we use the Kurds in Iraq, and we are using the Kurds in Iran. And so Israel and the U.S. have these pre-existing ties throughout these conflicts with ISIS, against Saddam Hussein, against Assad. And we are now using those contacts and using this military to create something like an invasion force across the border. And the idea is that the Iraqi Kurds are going to cross into Iran. And where is this uprising going to occur? In the western part of the country. The western part of Iran is mostly Kurdish. And so if a lot of armed, organized Kurds, backed by Israel, backed by the CIA, backed by the U.S., if they cross over the border as a military unit, well, they will probably be liberated, or rather greeted as liberators, by the Kurds that are already living in Iran. And then the question is, where does that lead? Does that turn into a full-scale uprising against the government? It's hard to see how it does. And they even admit in this article, we don't really have the numbers. It's all a numbers game. There's a lot of Kurds, but nowhere near as many as there are Persians. And you got a lot of Kurds in one part of the country, but Iran is a very big country. So that's where you start to imagine maybe there's a hybrid approach. And maybe it looks something like you back the Kurds in the north, and they cross over the border and invade, and they liberate the Kurds that are already there. And this becomes like a military force now. This becomes the beachhead. And the U.S. has their air base in Iraq, and now you have a land bridge across the border into Iran, where the Kurds have established this beachhead inside the country. And so you can then begin supplying weapons, and you can fly in. And then maybe that is aided by special forces. Maybe that's aided by a U.S. ground presence. Maybe on the eastern side of the country, you get a Balochistan separatist group. There's another ethnic minority, the Baloch, in southeastern Iran. They're very restive, and they have some separatist groups there. Maybe it becomes a two-pronged attack, and they meet in the middle. Maybe something like this is in the cards. Either way, once again, what exactly is the plan? Because what it is sounding like more and more is that this is going to turn into a ground war. It is going to turn into a ground war with us. Because again, just like it happened with the nuclear program and the missiles, all you have to do is think about these strategic imperatives. We need to destroy their missiles. We need to secure the nuclear material. We want Iran to capitulate, otherwise it isn't worth it. Israel actively seeks the end of the revolutionary regime. So if the U.S. and Israel want these things, they're not leaving without them. They're not going to give up and go home and let Iran keep bombing them or rebuild or get emboldened, have a hardliner come to power, and it's even worse. They're not going to let that happen. They would sooner escalate and take it further than allow this window of opportunity to close and actually to have worsened the situation. Okay, so if failure is not an option, and if Iran does not surrender, and if we can't bomb them into submission or destruction, then what is going to absolutely have to happen? Some ground force is going to have to go in. It doesn't matter who, but someone is going to have to go in. And from these discussions, it looks like that is the Kurds, but we know that they are not enough. We know they have deep ties to the U.S. and Israel. We know they are not enough. So what it is starting to sound like is that inevitably that is where this is going to go. The country's going to destabilize. The regime will not capitulate. We may be incapable of destroying everything that they have. And so in the end, we're going to have to back some kind of popular uprising, some kind of hybrid, a mix of liberal anti-government forces, secessionists and separatists like the Kurds or Balochistan, and yes, maybe some kind of U.S. ground presence. But I don't see how you get to the end of the year. I don't see how you get to the end of this administration with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard intact. It's going to go. The question is just when and how. And we know the how. It has to be boots. So that's what it's going to be. And you know something? It's interesting that this is now being admitted by Netanyahu and Trump and the Kurds, because I said this about the protests in January. If you remember, in January, when all of this started, when the uprising began in Iran and it became the deadliest protest, and every paper of record in the United States, it was just, the front page was all about the atrocities that the Iranians were committing against the protesters. And that is when the United States and Israel were going to intervene. Now, there were reports when this was happening that the so-called protesters were actually not protesters at all. There were eyewitness accounts that the so-called protesters were clad in all black uniforms, were using professional tactics, were armed with automatic weapons, and they were targeting and seizing government buildings. That's not a protest. That's not a student uprising. And they talk about that woman who burned the photo of the Ayatollah with her cigar. That's not that. You know, she's not wearing all black, storming the regional government headquarters with an automatic weapon. That's not that. When you talk about people that are in uniforms but not holding a flag, what that is a proxy force. And where did the protests occur? Yes, they took place all across Iran, but where were the most casualties? Where were Iranian Revolutionary Guard getting killed the most? Where were the government buildings being taken over? It was all in the western part of the country. It was all in the Kurdish majority provinces of Iran. And I said this last month. I said, I would bet you that that was a Kurdish invasion. That was not a spontaneous uprising. That was not the will of the people and the protesters. I said that is an invasion of a proxy force over Iraq's border into Iran. And it failed. It was repelled. Now that changes everything, doesn't it? Because it's just like everything else. The way that they framed it is that Iran was brutally cracking down on protesters, indiscriminately firing into the crowd. They were just telling people, hey, come find your loved ones in a body bag. Really? Because what this looks like is that you tried to invade Iran, and Iran shut it down. They killed those people. They brutally killed those people, and they shut down the internet because they were being invaded, because we attacked their country. And then when it failed, it was laundered by the propaganda machine as a humanitarian disaster. The protesters tried, they failed, they went in, and then they were executed, and that's yet another reason why we have to intervene and destroy Iran. Think about the timeline. They say 6 days before this war began, in what is now last month, February, all the Kurdish anti-Iranian groups got together. You think that's a coincidence? What a coincidence. 6 days before diplomacy collapsed, the United States moved everything into place and initiated the conflict. All the Kurds came together, and it looks like they're going to invade Iran. Maybe that's the plan B. If Iran doesn't surrender and we can't keep this war going on indefinitely, and we need a swift end to it, achieving our strategic objectives, that's going to be that missing ingredient. But again, they're not going to be able to do it on their own. So that implies that we're going to go in. And I hope that's not the case, but I think at this point, it looks likely. Question is just what exactly is the plan? What is the end game? And sadly, I don't think there's even an inkling of that. So we're going to watch how this plays out. We'll watch how it unfolds. Of course, it could go the other direction, too. It's possible that there is a faction in the IRGC that is going to take power and negotiate with the United States. It's possible. It's just that we don't know. It's a gamble. It's a huge risk to take. And it's not very good odds. Again, the character of the regime, the character of the country, they have full faith and confidence that they're going to survive this. That they have time on their side, they have their missiles, and they're going to survive. And all they need to do is get through the worst of it, and then on the other side, they're just going to be more hardline, and they're just going to rebuild everything. And they can. Missiles are cheap, and they have centrifuges. They have the technology. They got it. So if the war ends, and then they emerge from the rubble, you know where we're going to be in 6 or 9 months? Right back where we started. Right back, we're going to get all over again. Iranians building missiles again. We think they're building their nuclear program again. And so, either Iran totally capitulates, which is very unlikely, or we surrender due to political pressure from Congress or from the public or something, and the regime survives. If the regime survives, then all that is going to happen is that the Israelis are going to hit them really hard, and they may keep the war going in perpetuity. If Iran's missiles are depleted but not altogether destroyed, maybe Israel will just keep the conflict going at a low boil, constantly degrading the regime and waiting for that revolutionary force to come together. And then the last option is that, again, you get an American-backed force with U.S. assistance, a hybrid force, maybe comprising the Kurds, anti-government forces within Iran, maybe other separatists, and we swiftly bring down the government. And that seems to be right now the outlook on the conflict. And I gotta say, just at what point do you learn your lesson? Who needed this? And we kind of did this last night. I don't want to get too much into the rhetoric here. You all get it. But think about what is happening in our country. Think about what just happened. We had a few thousand Border Patrol in Minneapolis. We are being ripped off by Somalians. Nobody wants these people here. They fucking suck. Okay? And people say, well, many of them are citizens. Who cares? Take their citizenship away. Many of them are naturalized. Take their citizenship away and get as many of them out of the country as possible. Nobody wants them here. There have been nothing but trouble since they got here. They don't even vote Republican. And they're scamming us. We put a few thousand Border Patrol in Minneapolis to see this through, and we couldn't even do it for a month. So think about it. We go in heavy, think about the contrast. We go in heavy to Minneapolis for our own tax dollars. They're stealing our money, and then they're sending it to Somalia. We're literally liberating our tax dollars, our city, our country. And after 2 protesters died, Trump said, you know what, this is way too unpopular. We gotta get out of here. And they drew down the force expeditiously, and now they're out. And people are disputing this. There is no dispute. People say, well, that's because Minneapolis and Minnesota capitulated. No, they didn't. They did not. Tim Walz and Jacob Frey both say we have not changed a single policy. And the ICE raids are over. So we retreated from Minneapolis, where we were fighting to liberate America from illegal immigrants, so that we could focus on deploying, apparently now boots on the ground, into Iran for regime change. Why exactly? They're not a threat to our country. They have no missiles that can reach us. They have no ability to touch us. They are not a threat. And allegedly, we destroyed their nuclear program. So what are we even doing there? We don't like the regime, so we're now going to commit all this energy and time and money and personnel and resources to overthrow it? Meanwhile, this is what happens in America. Meanwhile, the Haitians are still in Springfield, the Somalians are still in Minneapolis, the Venezuelans are still in Texas. There's still 40 million illegal immigrants here. You couldn't do an invasion force for your own country, but you could do it for Iran. Okay, got it. And the other thing that's funny about this, in the end, what will Iran be destroyed by? Their diversity. Who is protesting the regime in Iran? Liberals, college students, women, racial and ethnic minorities. What does that tell you? Who are the biggest allies in the war against the Iranian regime? Liberals, college students, women, racial and ethnic minorities. Iran is fighting for their sovereignty. You understand that, right? They're fighting so that they do not have to capitulate to Washington and Israel. They want to be free, independent, strong. And in order to do this, they need a siege mentality. They have turned their country into a fortress. They need to pursue strategic weapons. They need to prepare for war. That's why the economy sucks. And a lot of people sort of understand that. And maybe they have aspirations for sovereignty. But if an outside force wants to rape your country, because that's what this is, it's rape, we're raping them. We want their government to submit to us forcefully. Who is going to be our ally as we murder them, as we drop bombs and laugh, as we slaughter them, as we destroy their country? Who is the greatest ally of the evil outside force raping you, taking your freedom, taking your sovereignty? Women, students, liberals, racial and ethnic minorities. It's going to be an army of Kurds, literally an army of knuckle-dragging mudslimes, the most primitive people in the Middle East, and they're just a grieved minority. It's going to be stupid bitches that don't want to wear the burqa, they want to dance, and they want to go on OnlyFans, and trannies and stuff like that. It's the stupid young people that are brainwashed in universities where they have Western influence, and it is liberals that want elections, liberals that want an open society. Yeah, well, why do you think that favors Israel? Because an open society can be penetrated. An open society is wide open for business. Yes, we will take your foreign contributions in our elections. Yes, we will take your National Endowment for Democracy-backed press and student groups, because that's freedom. Liberalism is a cancer. And by liberalism, I don't mean like progressives. I mean liberalism. It makes us weak. It makes us vulnerable. Those are the vulnerabilities in Iran. Feminism, diversity, and voting. It couldn't be more simple. Their diversity is invading their country to topple their government. Their women are creating the propaganda to destroy their government. It's like, who would win? This 85-year-old cleric who gave his life to his country and religion, turned his country into a fortress made out of missiles and nukes? Or like some stupid bitch that just wanted to dance? Some stupid bitch who doesn't understand anything, who is like, I want to have fun. I want to go out and party like they do in the West. And liberals who say, well, we just want an open society where we can vote. We don't want this oppressive regime. Well, you open up the society and you open it up to all that foreign influence from the U.S. and Israel, and that's why they don't want it. Same reason China has a great firewall, and you're sort of starting to understand why. We used to think that the Chinese and the Iranians had a cyber firewall to keep their people in. They didn't want their own people to know about Tiananmen Square, and they didn't want their own people to know about their corruption, and so on. In reality, it was about keeping the West out. It was about, because what is the West going to do? We're going to destabilize their country. If there was no great Chinese firewall, we would bombard their country with anti-China propaganda. We would be talking about the Uyghurs, and we would be vilifying the regime and all sorts of things. And it would destabilize China. And you start to see this in America, where you go on Twitter and it's all foreign influence. All of it. It's all Israel. It's all India. It's a lot of the Muslims too. Let's be honest. It's Russians. It's a lot. It's the CIA. Our internet is being pumped full of propaganda. And you look at Iran, a country that is on the verge of collapse. It's a country that's being killed. Their vulnerabilities were those three things. Those are the three things that bring ruin to a nation. It's diversity, it's women, and it's tolerance. It's openness. And this is food for thought for America. If there was some country that wanted to destroy America, would they back a Mexican force to invade America and liberate the Mexicans in LA? Let's say, as an example, I mean, that sounds crazy, but as an example, would they back BLM rioters to destroy the cities? Would they go for the women and, try to make it into some kind of women's rights things? And then, of course, the open society, they already take advantage of it. This is how they destabilize a country. So there's a lesson in this. This is why Israel doesn't tolerate a lot of that stuff. So that's that. That's the situation in Iran. It's like a waking nightmare. But like I said, we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to keep you updated on everything. With that, we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. Much to consider, much to think about. 2026, yeah, I'm thinking no. Thinking I'm not going to vote for anyone. Where's my, there it is. I'm out. And I'm already getting attacked. Everybody's already attacking me. You're a Democrat. You're a Fed. You know what my answer is now? Fuck you. Fuck you. I am in my era of I don't give a fuck anymore. Okay, I'm seriously over it. Like, I am past it. I'm in my villain era. I'm in my era of I don't give a fuck. People are saying you're a Democrat. You're a Fed. It's like, hey, asshole. We are at war with Iran, okay? Wake up. Like, trust the plan, vote for Trump. What are you, 8 years old? You can call me a Democrat. You can call me whatever you want. I'm playing both sides. Okay, we play both sides like Chanel. We're playing both sides. Democrat, Republican. I am going with whatever hates my enemies more. And right now, Republicans are my enemies. I want to destroy them. People say, well, but the Democrats are going to do all this stuff, and the Democrats, Republicans brought us to war in Iran. Period. End of story. I'm not listening anymore. You're not getting through. I will not be gaslit. And this is what people need to do. At a certain point, people are going to make up their minds. You're going to have to make your decision, okay? And a lot of people don't love this. I get DMs all the time. People say, you're making a big mistake. You're not going to... Make up your mind. You make your decision. I've made mine. I can only speak for myself. I am a citizen. I am an American. I have a vote. I'm not giving my vote to this treacherous administration. I'm not voting for the party that brought us to war in Iran, for Israel. I will never do that. Never. You can do whatever you want. If you have more tolerance for bullshit, hey man, knock yourself out. Another sucker is born every day. You want to vote for that because the Democrats are worse? Hey man, go for it. I'm not doing it. And to the extent that people are going to attack me on that basis and say, like I said, all the usual allegations, try to destroy my reputation, it's only because they're afraid of that outcome. They don't want white people to know their power. They don't want the base to know its true power. They don't want us to rise up and develop our own political consciousness and start fighting for our own interests. They want to keep us complacent, keep us asleep. You can be angry, but you got to keep voting. You can be upset, but you got to keep playing the game. I'm not playing the game. I don't play games. I flip over the table. I don't like what I'm getting. I flip over the table. I play a new game. And that's where I'm at right now. I have had it, and I'm going to do something about it. Aren't you tired of bitching? I've had it. Now I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to vote for the Democrats because fuck you. People are saying, we're going to go on Twitter and we're going to voice our dissent. That gets us nowhere. That's doing nothing. We've tried that. We voted for this. Well, you voted for this in 24. It didn't work. So now I'm trying something else. I'm going to do something about it. And the more they panic, the more I know I'm doing the right thing. The more that people who are paid to lie to me call me out for this, the more I know I'm doing the right thing. People that are literally paid money under the table to peddle influence, soft money influence. These people are out there saying, hey, everybody, it's okay. As long as there's no boots on the ground, here's how we can still win. If people that are being paid to lie to my fucking face, sending my country into a war that we have no business fighting, if those people are telling me, oh, you're a Democrat plant, you're a Fed, well, then I know I'm in the right, because those people are the fucking enemy. They are the enemy. They hate you. They treat you with contempt. Contempt in every word. And you know what's funny? I've seen it. I've seen people that have defended this administration in a disgusting fashion. Whores with no dignity. Whores on their hands and knees with no dignity. It's filthy. It's disgusting. I think about people like Andrew Isker. This fat, endomorphic idiot. He's been on Twitter for 2 years saying, got what I voted for. I'm a fat idiot. I'm a fat, stupid boy. I'm a boy in abundance. And this guy has done nothing but cocksuck the administration since they got in. He has done nothing but make excuses, trust a plan, all the rest of it. I see this guy this weekend. He goes, you know what? I supported this administration. I don't like this. He goes, I'm against the war with Iran. This doesn't seem good. And immediately he's getting attacked. By all his own people. And I see him post on Twitter. He goes, look, guys, I'm not a Democrat. I'm a plan truster. I'm not a third worldist or a panican. I've trusted the plan. Honest. I'm not a third worldist. I'm a heritage American. He goes, but I don't want a war with Iran. He's literally pleading with them. They flipped on him on a dime. That's who we're dealing with. It is a gaslighting psyop. All of it. I saw the same thing happen to Aiden. I saw the same thing happen to Aiden on X from AF Post. He's like Jeb Bush. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Until he finally decided it was a mistake. When we launched the war in Iran, he goes, you guys just don't get it. It's about China. This is great. And then within 2 days, he goes, I have a feeling we did this for Israel. You don't say. Oh, really? We invaded Iran for Israel? You don't say. If only someone was warning us. Even him in the same story. Now, Captive Dreamer is calling him out. Captive Dreamer calls out Aiden on X. You're a disloyal panican. You're a disloyal... And so, these people, they need to lose. They don't even care. They just need to lose. I don't care if the Democrats win. These people need to lose because they hate you. How much do you have to hate a person to lie to their face and tell them, I'm on your side, I'm working for you, I'm on your team, I'm a patriot. We just have to do this, and they're being paid to sell you something that will hurt you. How much do they have to hate you? I think they hate you even more than the Democrats do. even the plan trusters are not spared from that. So that's why I say I'm leaning in. I'm leaning in. I'm on lean and I'm leaning in. Yeah. My vote for the Democrats is a middle finger to the GOP. I don't care. Say what you want. People say that's a dumb idea. I don't care. That's what I'm doing. I've made up my mind. You have pissed me off royally, and that is not what I will do. And if they want to win in 28, you got to find somebody else. I will not vote for Vance. I will not vote for Rubio. They brought us this. You don't want to repeat this in 28? Give me somebody I can vote for. Give me somebody that's America first. Otherwise, give it to the Democrats. I'll flee. I'll go to Vietnam. I'm out. Country's coming down anyway. What does it matter? And this is what you guys need to understand. This country is fucked. Okay? And the only thing that is going to turn this country around is radical change. Not moderate reform, radical change. If the Republicans are not giving us radical change, they're just giving us collapse at a slower pace, right? They're liberals driving the speed limit. They're standing in front of liberals yelling stop and being rolled over, being steamrolled. So that's actually not a solution. Telling everybody we're going to have whites become a minority at a slightly slower rate, and, Israel's still going to run the country and so on. Yeah, that doesn't get us. I don't know what we're buying time for at that point. We have to stop playing not to lose and start playing to win. And that means taking ourselves seriously to start voting for ourselves, voting for our own interests, voting as a bloc, rather than going with Wall Street, Silicon Valley, and Israel every year. It's what it is. So that's that. Okay, now we're going to move on. Now we're going to take a look at our super chats. I can't even describe it to you how out of my mind I am about this. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's see what do you guys have to say. It's always the best part, isn't it? Always the best part of the show. Okay.
Morgan Bro ever sent $20. That 3K super chat I sent a year ago for a new suit finally paid off. Also, it's crazy you had this all exactly predicted beat for beat the day after October 7th, 2023. Great stuff.
I really did. Didn't I? Thank you.
Meeble you sent $20. Matt Walsh will be a Shabbos boy until he fills out the apology form.
He will be a Shabbos boy until he quits working for Ben Shapiro. Isn't that kind of a low bar? Like, don't work for Ben Shapiro, maybe? Kind of obvious.
Real sent $50. When are there going to be crypto payments on AF Plus?
Probably not going to happen.
Courage Max sent $50. Did you see? Brian the doll looked and sounded like a female when he was 17. He got the voice he wanted. That was before he ever took any tranny pills. He manifested. Jews lied about biology too.
Okay. So what's the angle there? I'm not really following. So you're saying that you can be a natural tranny? You need to be an ancestral tranny. These Jews and their soy seed oil trannies, ancestral trannies, and they pass just fine. They don't need all that estrogen. What are you saying? What is your point? What the fuck are you talking about? Brian the doll was on tranny pills, I think, early. I believe he got, medically transitioned when he was 14. He had puberty blockers. So that's just not true. You were misinformed. I'm almost positive that he went on estrogen before he hit puberty. He had puberty blockers. So that's just not, what you're saying is not even true. But I'm not even really sure what it is you're saying. But that's crazy.
Talk about it. You gotta pick it up.
Bro wants a organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised tranny. I got some organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised estrogen. I got some nice reverse osmosis remineralized water. People like that need to be fucking cut in half with swords and knives. With those people. I have had it with ancestral people. You know, I'm ancestral because I'm a white nationalist, okay? You're ancestral because what? You bought some artisanal cheese? You fucking idiot. You know what else is really funny? Do you know there's more there are more microplastics in a glass water bottle than in a plastic one. That is like the most delicious morsel. That is a 10-course meal. That is my last meal. How many fucking idiots read an article about microplastics and said, oh, plastic water bottle? Oh, I won't drink out of that. I only do. And they're literally getting more microplastics. And isn't there sort of a lesson in that? Isn't there sort of a lesson there?
Can't even hear you.
You know?
What'd you
Isn't
say?
there something poetic about that?
What?
People go, ew, I don't know, plastic water bottle, I won't drink out of that. And then you have plastics leaching into the glass water bottle because, people say, huh? Because it is lined with plastic and the plastic leaches in from the cap. So that's just like, you know, we live for things like that. But anyway, not to go off about the ancestral thing, I just see that video every other week. I see that video of this guy where he lays out his grocery haul and he's like, I got some nice pasture-raised, I got some nice farm-fresh pasture-raised eggs, I got some, organic ice cream, I've got some nice reverse osmosis remineralized water, I've got some nice potatoes. And you're like, dude, get a fucking life. Don't you have a job, you stupid asshole? Don't you have a job? Is this what you do all day? This is what you do all day, I guess. You go to your farmer's market, you buy all this crap, you take it home, and then you lay it all out on the table to take videos of it and show, this is what I'm eating this week. Hey, no one cares, Buster. Hey, Buster, nobody cares what you're eating this week, dumbass. No one cares what eggs you bought at the fucking store. I don't know why that bothered me so much, but it really does. Like I said, it's one of those things, you know how like you go on TikTok and you see the same movie clips every other 6 months? It's like every 6 months you watch the same clip from the same movie, from like The Green Mile or The Green Book or whatever. It's like that. Every 6 weeks on Twitter I see this guy's table. So we got some nice farm-fresh pasture-raised eggs, we got some nice farm-fresh pasture-raised beef. And I'm like, who are you? What do you? Don't you people have any longing? Don't you have any yearning? Like, is this what it is for you? The next time somebody tells me that food is fuel, I'm gonna take out my gun and shoot them in the face with a bullet. The next time somebody tells me, you gotta look at food as fuel, I'm gonna go to the trunk of my car, take out a shotgun, and I'm gonna fucking shoot their face off. Food is fuel. No, food is yummy. Okay? Food is yummy. And that's really all we have, isn't it?
Neutron sent $20.
And that's really all we have.
Happy to have your content. You were a sharp dressed man. Where do you buy your suits? Thank you.
This whole thing I got at the farmer's market. Pasture raised, farm fresh, no artificial preservatives, no BPAs. It's PD.
Base Wang sent $20. This will be my last super chat for
It's ancestral.
tomorrow. Appreciate you, Nick. Stay based. Love you all.
Hey, good luck out there, man. Kill out. I was gonna say. Not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say. I don't want to put that out in the world. But hey, good luck, buddy. Good luck, buddy. Go out there.
Damn it, dude.
And
I'm sorry to ask, but could you please stretch that gate out? Him. Thank you, Dad.
This is a Chicagoland voter. I'm saying this as the seventh most powerful Chicagoan, as ranked by Chicago Magazine. So, you're an MTFD transer. You could never get that out of me. Why would you go and tell people that? If you're detransing, you should just say, "Hi, I'm a regular guy." Bro introduces himself. "Hey, MTFD transer, by the way. Anyway, is Polymarket degenerate?" Like, what? So what's with the preamble? Bro said, "Yeah, you in the back. Hey, yeah, male to female detransitioner. Anyway, is Polymarket degenerate, or is there actually..." It's like, bro, if that were me, you could never get that out of me. Why don't you just say, "Hey, I'm a regular guy. Hey, I'm a regular guy," with a normal-ass question. No, but thanks. Polymarket, here's what I say about the betting markets. It just reflects as much information as in the world. So I don't actually think it's predictive. It's really more of an indicator of what information is public. So you got to keep that in mind.
Can't gas dick under Swim sent $20. Ayatollah Sam Abdul-Islam, Greater Israel. Never bans, never moving. They are invited before him.
Great.
Women of the Masses sent $20. Where did all the legal baddies our biggest road bets go? Did they ghost the movement?
I still see them. I saw New Croypet on TikTok. She kept making audios of me. Some blonde Croypet. Yeah, they abandoned me, as everybody does. I have abandonment issues. They left me. I knew it was never going to last. That's why I never fell for it. They were just trying to trick me to make me look foolish. And now they're all gone. No, there's still some of them around, but they moved on, okay? They moved on to Clavicular. They moved on to somebody else. It's the way of the world. It's somebody else's turn.
Sam Buchanan sent $20. My recent village attorney started with Twinkle said the problem is really suspected. I was like, what the hell is he that? Oh, right. So here I am. Keep up the great work.
Boom.
Anonymous Listener sent $20. And award Ukraine for real. Russians are Alan.
I don't know if I go that far.
$20. Hey, Nick. Much love from all the fellas at Marine Corps Base Hawaii. You have a huge base of support in the
All
military.
my fellas. Hey, thank you, man. We appreciate it, all my fellas. We love the Marines.
Shaver sent $20.
W Marines.
Crenshaw back. I don't even know who Steve Todd is.
Yeah, how about it? Dan Crenshaw. Lost like a bitch.
Southtown 5498 sent $20. Best item on the Easy Gap line.
Oh, that's a tough one. Let me think. What do I have? I have the jacket's pretty cool. And the hoodies were nice. But you know what the problem is with the hoodie? It kind of like, it's too, like the hood makes it look like this. The hood makes it look like this. So, that's the only trouble with it, but the normal hoodies were nice. That like blue hoodie that I had, that was a great
Sale sent $20. Knowles is worse than Walsh and good boys like PVD and Jim Pool, with Jewish handlers on payroll pissing me off. How can good faith disagreements exist when Israeli supporters
Yeah, they seem dishonest, and Michael...
$25. You hate see Alex Godot sent today realizing the Trump administration is over. He held on for as long as he could.
Yeah, he's a loyal guy. Big Alex. We love him. He's a sweetie pie.
Again, 152 sent $20. Nick, my wife and I pray for the Holy Spirit to guide us. For the young men, women, and teens that don't know where to start. Volunteer at your local parish. Serve the Lord and he will provide.
Very true. Very true. Thank
Miguel
you.
Lopez sent $100. Nick, really want to hear your take on the Kurds now being armed in Western Iran for a ground war with the IRGC. Supposedly the CIA is arming them. Haven't we already betrayed them like 8 times after we've used and abused them? I feel like this is something you'd be up to speed on.
Well, that's what the show is about. So thank you for the big super chat. We already
Waldo
answered
Baby
that.
sent $20. The Jews against Rome.
Yep.
Will Holmes sent
As
$20.
always.
What is the point of sticking it to the GOP if both parties are controlled by Jews anyways? Why not create a nationalist party?
Okay. Not going to keep explaining it.
Hamilton sent $20. I've just been admitted to a D3 law school and am planning to infiltrate FedSo. Do I now qualify as elite human capital? Also curious, have you always been in favor of the JCPOA? If not, when did your stance change and what caused you to reconsider?
I don't remember, honestly. Such a long time ago. I was against it when it came out. I was like a Zionist when it came out. But when I was in high school, I was very pro-Israel, and I was like, you know, Iran should never have a bomb, blah, blah. And so I don't know. I don't even remember what my take was about it in 2018. I'm not even sure.
Noah sent $20. Thoughts on Jose Antonio Primo de Rivera, founder of Spain's Falange, a nationalist authoritarian movement in 1930 Spain?
Grow up, bro.
XX0001 sent $100. Hi, Mr. Nicholas M. from Qatar. I want to let you know that the U.S. Embassy in the region and the jets with Ras Laffan gas, Aramco, oil, have been shot by Mossad. I can't tell you more than that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the big
Woodley
super
Luke
chat.
sent $20. Gonna need the Asmongold collab ASAP. I like him, but his Middle East commentary or cat tier.
Yeah, well, he said he's going to do it. It's a question of when he wants to do it. So,
Joe Doyle 96 sent $100. I watch you and proud of the most. Between you and him, I must say that you were authentic and the only one who was speaking on facts and not emotions. Thank you for all that you do. Let's support you. USA emoji.
hey, thank you for the big super chat.
Brett Cooper still
Fine,
sent $20.
Okay, come on now. Don't be
Millennium
gross.
Viper sent $50. You killed it on the Alex Jones show today. Great
Thanks.
job getting Alex to realize this administration is a failure. Roger Stone was all but hurt over it. Smiley face emoji. Rolling on the floor laughing emoji. It's going to be badass seeing you host the Alex Jones show.
I don't know what Roger Stone's problem is. He's got a real hard on.
B2TW Ramirez sent $50. Properly understood Venezuela as part 2 in a 3-part Iran war. As a precondition to an Iran war, we would need to insulate against oil shocks. So we hit A. 1.5 months later, we're at war with Iran.
Fake. That's just not even true. We talked about all that when it happened.
Big Little Grow sent $20. The Iran war really is a turning point, especially in regard to anti-Semitism. I had a guy in my class bring up 109 countries said schools instead of countries, and the teacher was smiling and nodding.
Really?
Yada sent $50. Would you recommend reading Hitler's War of the Lord of the Rings first if you're trying to get the good understanding of the Red Pill? Jester maxing for the boys. You're in my prayers. God bless. Nick.
Always gesturing. Always gesturing.
Morocco sent $20. Hey, Nick,
hurts
what are
me.
your thoughts on Morocco as a country? As the U.S.'s first friend and a part of the Mediterranean?
I have no thoughts on them, but they are a slave to Israel. They're in the Abraham Accords.
Rapist of all sent $40. I scored a 177 on the LSAT. I'm 6'2 and handsome. Just here to brag. Thank you.
Oh, well, congratulations. Good for
Aaron
you.
sent $20.
Congrats.
KD 28 will say he stood up to Israel. My leverage so he wouldn't attack Turkey.
Yeah, no. Terrible prediction.
This
False.
Honest 988 sent $50. Thanks for another great show. One thing to remember about the average Goy, if they all could read a clock, it'd be a little harder for dudes like us to tell the time. Keep on trucking. Godspeed.
That's true. Well
The
said.
Nationalist sent $1,000. Keep it coming, man. You're truly the highlight of so many people's weeks with your informative insights, logical reasoning, and authentic voice. God bless you, your family, and your supporters.
Hey, thank you very much. Very kind message, and I appreciate the huge super chat. 07's in the chat, please. For the Nationalist, 07's in the chat. W. I appreciate. Thank you. It feels good to be appreciated. The gesturing is not in vain. I appreciate that.
Mad Dog Burger sent $20. Hypothetically, if the community raised enough.
That's all it is. That's how I literally feel every night. I'm the jester, you know. This is me every night. And this is you guys. This is you. This is you. You're unimpressed. Great show. Whatever. And then this is me. With the song playing in the background. So, it's that GIF. But you know what? This jester's gonna get a gun. No, I'm kidding. Somebody sent me a GIF or a video of the jester getting a gun and shooting the princess. And that was actually just cathartic to see. That was just like a cathartic visual. And so that's what made me think of it. I'm not crazy. I was just thinking of the visual. But thank you for the huge super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you. Very kind message. I'm glad that's the highlight of your week. Oh, man.
Mad Dog Burger sent $20. Hypothetically, if the community raised enough money to start an America First Party, would you be supportive of Thomas Massey as our nominee? Do you think he'd be a good pick for that position?
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. We need a hostile takeover of the GOP. This whole third party thing, do you know how much money it costs to get on the ballot for a third party? Like millions of dollars. Many millions of dollars to get ballot access. It's not a walk in the park, and I've always been very skeptical of third party, and even the Thomas Massey thing. I like him, but he's not the guy. I don't want to do some Nicky Knack protest candidate. I want fucking Hitler. I want Caesar. In the flesh, okay? I want something real that is actually going to take us across the Rubicon. I don't want no offense, some nerd who is like a libertarian and whatever. That guy's not presidential, and I like him, but he's clearly not Caesar. I want Caesar. I want Napoleon. I want Alexander. I'm not settling for anything less, and I want a Republican. If Trump could do it, someone else could do it. We don't need a third party, and I don't like the third
Base
party.
Crusader sent $20. Get your ass down there and help out the embroidery team. I still haven't got my quarter zip, nigga. Shavery sent $20. Thanks for the correction on MDO versus Shotgun last night. Nick, what do you think the land element looks like?
Kurds and special ops.
Raymond B sent $20. 41 voted for Trump 3. Can't believe he sold out his original principles of America first.
Yeah, I know. Well, believe it.
The Arabian Rower sent $25. How is your Ramadan fasting going, brother Fuentes? Red heart emoji. Flex biceps emoji.
I'm not Muslim.
2 Double sent $20. Episode 6 million of Iran first. Big show. The American Bolsheviks are an existential threat. Iran is not. You are a student of history and know that.
Okay, it's just idiotic.
Monster Mike sent $50. Always a fucking alt.
Every single time.
Roman America sent $25. Ark Matties. Dan French Hobby walking the flag tonight. Beholify sent $20. Israel will launch airborne into the atmosphere, which will complete global saturation. Sunglasses emoji. Politics with autism sent $20. Change my mind. I don't think we can fix this peacefully. Why would the Jewish government pass the SAVE Act and let us vote our way out?
Okay, it's just not even entertaining.
Politics with autism sent $20. When do we start talking? First, amen. About the final option. Joe M sent $20. Now would be a good time to collab with Asman so his chat can hear the truth. He's fully riding with Trump and Rubio talking points.
Well, then he can invite me
Sonic
on.
Head and Garage sent $20. Whatever happened with Jimmy Dore? Did his two sidekicks convince him not to interview you?
I think that's exactly
Double
what
Two
happened.
Double sent $20. The movement died in the Holly. For God's sakes, enough with the war correspondent stick. You sound like Go in Abundance sent $20.
Like it,
Have you seen that
watch.
Trump has fallen out of favor with the current administration? They favor Altman now. Unrelated. Lucky tweeted this to a Jew. Bro, please. I like the Jews, but you are making it really hard with this. Don't expose Epstein or his French tick. JFC. Is Palmer coming around? Jacob E2003 sent $20. Watching you and Alex Jones on a show is peak male experience. God bless you. My prayers also go out to AD.
Yeah. Prayers up for Aiden Ross. I heard his sister passed. God bless him. Pray for him and his family and for her. I just can't even imagine what he's going through. It must be devastating. I saw that just before I went live. I got to reach out to him, but it's so horrible. I can't even imagine. And it just goes to show you never know what somebody's going through. You know, he's clearly going through a tough time. So, you know, I'm praying for him. I'm praying for his family. I'm praying for his sister. It's just unbelievable. But, yeah, we love him. He's a good guy. You can tell he's a good guy. He loves his family. And I hope he hangs in there.
Sean Vance from ID sent $50. Can we organize and go to Washington and protest for this administration to step down immediately? This is the tyrannical government our forefathers wanted. Div Mitch sent $20. Just wanted to say I'm probably the biggest liberal and disagree with 90% of what you say, but I do appreciate your perspective and how much I've learned about Israel and the other side of my views.
Glad to hear it.
Roy Steve sent $20. Stream discussion / debate with Asman Bill on the Iran war. Philip Zero sent $20. Do you like Gates to challenge Vance for 28? He is still in good standing with MAGA despite going on to the Israel critic.
No, absolutely. He's an idiot, dude.
Roy Frank sent $20. New growth here. Just started learning about you and how you've been right on the war with Iran. I don't see anyone else covering this historic event like this. Thank you. On my journey. I was wrong. % $100. I was deployed to Qatar. It's how everyone there pronounced it. Deploying there is even called doing the JH. I also double checked with Ron before I typed you and said it was pronounced that way. Please accept this super chat as an apology. I was just trying to be helpful. Thanks for being the go.
You were wrong, and you were wrong. I appreciate the big super chat. Damn, that sucks that you were wrong. It was wrong, Roy. That's insane. That's crazy. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Just, you know, double check next
Mr.
time.
Hero Sports Kid sent $50. Funny how David Loesch brings up Beirut Barrett's mom as reason to attack Iran. She's the same bitch who would say the USS Liberty happened so long ago it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah,
Fuck
right.
Josh Norton.
Beirut, 40 years ago.
Beetlejuice
That's
69
why
sent
we're
$20. Did you see Matt Walsh calling out Trump and asking why he thinks he can make a move like this in Iran that is clearly controversial? But he cannot go through with mass deportations.
I did, yeah. Yeah, maybe it's finally coming
Roy
around.
sent $100. Dear leader, 4 quarters absurd. Can't wait. Gen X with police and I agree. You are the best political commentator I've ever heard.
Thanks.
You asked me when you talked about Huntington Clash of Civilizations. Thank you, dear leader. You are the go.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the big super chat. Yeah, put some respect.
Boy 1776 sent $20. You've been the top boy. Prediction king. Intelligence maxing. The hate for you on X is insane. Who do you hate most on X?
There's so much hate. So many haters. But listen. Haters are my motivators, okay? If they hate, let them hate. Who do I hate most? I don't hate anybody. I have no enemies. My cortisol is lowered. I have no enemies. I'm becoming very, in my old age, I'm becoming very monkish. I'm becoming very ascetic. I'm just not preoccupied with those things anymore. I'm getting to be older now. I'm nearing the grave as I push 30. And so you just realize nobody was ever watching. Once you get to be my age, you start having some regrets and you realize nobody was ever watching. And so you should just live your life, And if haters are going to hate, well, let them. Only poisons the vessel it is contained in.
A 704 sent $50. My dad is a part of the 103rd Reserve Unit and was in Shaw Port when it was in. He is alive but lost and I had some good buddies. Hope they get them home soon. Praying for all families affected.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there'll be more casualties.
Zog sent $20. Well, it seems like they don't have much of air defense anymore. If they're sending in B-52S, eyes emoji, skull and crossbones emoji. That one row for 19 sent $100. Hi. Thanks for the show. Thanks to you, I'm more knowledgeable on geopolitics and world Jewry, as well as helping me grow stronger in my Catholic faith. Although I voted for Trump since I was swept up by emotions and didn't know about you were growing for War II at that time, I still want to apologize. But thanks to you, I won't make that same mistake with Vance. God bless you, Nick.
Glad to hear it. Thank you for the big super chat. That's all you had to say. All you had to say.
Did you see Matt Gaetz on X saying he still has Vance winning the 2028 presidential election? By 2028, they'll be begging you for their endorsement.
I think so. Yeah, they're all still on team Vance, which is disturbing. Gaetz, Green, Hunter.
Alexandra Pacheco sent $20. Watching the show tonight with my grandma. She says this kid knows what he's talking about. Oh, we love you.
Thanks. I hope she's not turned off by all the other stuff when I go a little crazy at the end, when I get a little deep. But that's very sweet. Thank
Marcus
you.
Aurelius sent $100. This will be Syria 2.0. We'll mobilize the Kurds and this will trigger Turkey to enter the war. Turkey will take the northern part of Iran and they will organize the regime change just like in Syria. Also, Iran has 25 million Turks. This might be the play from the beginning by us, not Israel.
That's true. You're right. I don't know if I agree with the last part. It's all about. I don't know if I go that far. But yeah, Iran has a huge Turkic population, and they're right there with Turkmenistan. So that's from where the Turks came. So it's possible. It's possible.
Earthbrook sent $20. Hey Nick, thoughts on the Osage shooter? It happened a few blocks from my apartment. I can't seem to wrap my head around it.
I don't think it's a false flag. I think that was probably a Muslim, but I don't know. Everyone is saying it's a false flag. I don't know. Are they using that to justify anything? I don't think so. I think that. Okay, call me a narrative cock. I think that was just a Muslim.
$20. Henry Jesus was king of the Jews. These Christ killers are in control of everything. When is our Tea Party moment? Our line in the sand. How does this revolution start without inciting? America first 1776 sent $20. I enjoyed your interview with Alex Jones today, and I agree with your comments about blaming the so-called plan trusters. Alex still seems to be holding on to Meghan, but this administration has betrayed us.
I know.
I love Nick sent $20. Your mom told me to read. What book's gonna read to me as smart as you? No entry signing. Cold C6R sent $20. Have you seen the reports of soldiers complaining that commanders are saying Trump is anointed by God to bring about Armageddon?
Yeah.
Heresy at its finest.
It's just.
Big Jig 11 sent $20. Is China missing a golden opportunity to step in and fill the security void created by the U.S. favoring the defense of Israel over the Gulf states?
No, dude, they have no capability to do
Fred Eddie sent $25. I'm tired of this shit too. Billy Unic LGOP.
Thank you.
And Denovich made ready sent $23. The wank shirt image from a chat asking you about your band instrument. You tooting a horn on my shirt? Euphonia made half.
I don't even understand what you're saying. Yeah, I used to play the Euphonia.
CC Red 95 sent $25.
Hey,
Outbreak
thanks.
of Glory sent $20. When you related back to how the Jews love to destroy society, infiltrate, and extract wealth until the well runs dry. It's done all right in our faces and people still choose to be blind.
So
Swift
true.
General Rumor sent $50.
Thank you.
Huckleberry 999 sent $20.
Okay, I'm not reading
Javier
that.
Shahpalvi sent $20. You vilify the Iranian Patriots brave front in the crusade against Islam, something whites should support 100%. Now you will see us purge Islam from the region while neutered Europeans live under it.
Yeah, that's just delusional. We don't care about your brown
Slow
country.
40SX spent $20. Everything aside, I was kind of pumped to see some gnarly war footage, but it's been majority ace combat videos and I slop. Can't even get a little bit of enjoyment from this shit show.
Yeah.
Cuban Nielsen letter sent $20. DHS is now investing Greg Bogdanoff for allegedly making disparaging comments about the Jewish faith of Minnesota's
Really?
top prosecutor. This administration isn't even hiding who their loyalties are with.
That's crazy.
Pragmatic Culture sent $20. Was gonna say Canadian just rename it Dopey Post already. Every other tweet being rewritten to give Vance a better framing is so tiresome.
Let's go. So true. So true. He's not tired yet. He's not tired. He's not tired of putting out. He's not tired of throwing his little pussy back for the GOP. So he's just going to keep going and keep going and keep going. He's just going to keep coming back for more. It's crazy. It's total, and he's doing it for free. Doing it for free. So we love, me and all my niggas, we love A-logging.
Neo just sent $50. The first super chat. Been a fan since the No Jumper pod with Sneeko back in 2022 and have been watching the show every night since the DNC. You've been spot on about Iran since day one. Great show tonight.
So true. Thanks, man. Wow, 22. That's a long time.
Alex Jones is wild. Smiley face emoji. Is he crazier behind the scenes?
He's the same behind the scenes. He's just a regular dude.
Eaglemore sent $20. Thanks for the swoop. Kept thinking of Culvers when you were talking about the Kurds, but I think I got the gist. God of Conquest, $9.6. There was a story today that U.S. troops are being told by their commanders that the war in Iran is just because it fulfills some evangelical end times prophecy involving Israel. These people are insane.
Yeah.
Len G sent $25. Is using the phrase on both sides like Chanel an indication of you as a Frank Ocean fan. I don't know, man. Sounds kinda gay,
Is that who sings that song?
Shit.
I don't know who that is.
Jason42 sent $100. Sub Nick Lover Show. I used to watch Ben Shapiro, then stayed on DW for Michael Knowles, but now it's AF all day. Been listening since right after Carnell.
Let's go. Let's go. Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, Michael Knowles, big letdown. He's supporting the war in Iran. He's supporting Candace Owens. He literally has the wrong take about everything. He's like pro-Israel on everything, but he's also pro-Candace. I don't know how you
Respond to username sent $20. What role, if any, do you think I will play in this conflict and or with possible future adversaries?
It's just another weapon. The biggest thing is the arms race with China and how the imperative now is for critical minerals and energy. It's a big energy suck. We need a lot of copper. We need a lot of fuel, nuclear. And then it concerns these supply chains and trade. We're friendshoring or reshoring everything. We're trying to secure minerals in all these countries, trying to make these deals like in Ukraine and in Greenland and Venezuela in the pursuit of the ultimate weapon. And we're going to, of course, deregulate AI, empower AI. So I don't know that it would play a role in this.
Little Neil sent $100. Went to vote in DM's primary today. I vowed to only vote in my local races and skip the feds. It was harder than I thought it would be to skip just knowing Jasmine Crockett might be in the general. But fuck yeah. Glad I don't have to vote in the general. That's how they get us every fucking cycle.
Yeah.
My civic duty this November is to not vote.
Thank you for the big super chat. Well, it's your pick.
Bill721 sent $20. Tucker's merch store is hilarious. Like neocons are gay for Israel hats. Shit like that. The hats look like Rip Abercrombie and Fitch embroidery from 2003.
Yeah, his merch sucks.
Winston Broiber sent $20. Thoughts on if Kyler Murray will yield better results than Justin Fields?
Don't know who those people
Strasser's
are.
Broiber sent $20. Hey Nick, when are we going to save time to organize? Somalia Stick Terribly sent $20. Do you like the clap penguin clip? I like it has such a smirk.
What's the thing?
I could be your grandma sent $25. Hi Mystery, you could be my grandson. Have you noticed that Tulsi is suspiciously silent? Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, she's probably going to get fired because she's a nincompoop. She's a complete incompetent. Has not been able to restrain anything. And they all hate her. They all hate her. Trump hates her, so she's going to be going out soon.
It is Artifice sent $20.
Probably doesn't want to run
recommend troops to defy orders of deployment knowing this will mean jail for all involved. Or do you just enjoy LARPing as a dissident online?
That's crazy. Yeah, okay. Thanks, officer.
Linkfoot sent
Appreciate
$20. I'm going to fuck the shit out of Sneeko.
Okay.
Broiber sent $25. Great show. Whatever. Millennial Broiber sent $25. Thanks for leading me to Ascension. Starting OC after Easter. Also W on pronunciation of GIF. Keep doing the Lord's work.
Thanks. Thank you.
Veric sent $20. Is there a reason you constantly refer to the Iranian government as the regime? Regime is you-coded.
That's why they call you Goyim.
Oops, Snoot sent $20. Sometimes scared we all gonna die. Not just a regular way. Praying a lot lately. PHX for the show. Not all the girlies left.
Yeah, they did.
Len G sent $25. Is using the phrase on both sides like Chanel an indication of you as a Frank Ocean fan.
We heard that already. Thank
Do
you,
you think
Chad.
anybody still cares about the 2012?
Is that still going on? I thought he died.
Did I leave list my slide? Christina sent $50. I truly appreciate your perseverance in the face of adversity that most of us will never experience. You and what you're doing matter. You'll be in my prayers, Nicholas.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sent $21. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks.
Carter 11B sent $30. The people that said Kamala wasn't qualified to be president because she did nothing as VP will be asking you to vote, Vince.
That's a really good point.
Wiley 69 sent $20. What are your thoughts on Epstein memes being put out by the government to desensitize the general population? Have you been infiltrated? Is this why you sell the QCs? Smiley face.
Yeah. It's all a conspiracy, bro. The government, what? Yeah, okay, dude, for sure. Yeah, it's actually all distraction from the laptop. The Iran war is a distraction from the files. The files are a distraction from the laptop from hell. It's all a distraction. Yep, you got it. You cracked the code. Okay, all right. That's our last super chat. That's going to do it for me. Another late show.